$62.6 million. That's the number sitting on Stephen Curry's contract for the 2026-27 season, and it makes him the first player in NBA history to break $60 million in a single year. Not LeBron, not Durant, not some 24-year-old phenom just entering his prime. A guy who'll be 38 years old when that check clears.
I'm a free agent. I'm out here as new beginnings. I was, blessed to have an unbelievable experience to take a chance on something that meant a lot to me over the last 13 years, and extremely proud of what myself, my team, everybody who was able to touch that business for that long. We all should be proud of what we were able to accomplish.
Let that sink in for a second, because it breaks every rule we thought we knew about how basketball money works. In this league, big contracts are supposed to go to young players climbing toward their peak. Teams pay for the future, for the years ahead, for what a body can still do. And by 38, most stars are either retired, riding the bench for a contender, or taking a pay cut to chase one last ring. That's the script. Curry ripped it up. So how does a soon-to-be 38-year-old end up being the most expensive human being to ever put on an NBA jersey? And why did the Warriors happily hand him that money? Stick with me, because the answer is about way more than basketball.
The announcement we had 2 years ago, but I think it's the right thing for everybody. And for me to be able to take the opportunity with Curry Brand and what we've done in the community, what we've done from standing for something, changing the game for good is our tagline, and hopefully having something to show for it down the road. I'm excited about that.
Let's start with the raw numbers, because they're genuinely staggering. Curry signed a one-year extension that keeps him in Golden State through the 2026-27 season. That final year is worth $62.6 million. To put that in perspective, when Michael Jordan was at the absolute peak of his fame in the late 90s, his biggest single-season salary was around $33 million, and people thought that was insane, borderline offensive. Curry is nearly doubling that. And unlike a lot of aging superstars who take hometown discounts to help the team build around them, Curry is getting paid full freight, top of the market, no apologies. But here's the part that makes it wild. That $62.6 million, it might not even be the most impressive money he makes that year, because Stephen Curry's real fortune isn't on the court at all.
What he meant, I've talked about Kobe a lot. And that specific pair, I think it speaks for itself what it means. And other than that, it's just something that wanted to take, advantage of that moment and, pay tribute. And I think it gave me some good energy tonight.
Think about how most NBA salaries work. You're great for a decade, you cash enormous checks, and then the checks stop the moment you stop playing. The money has a shelf life. It's tied directly to your knees, your ankles, your ability to still get up and down the floor at an elite level. Curry figured out something a lot of athletes never do, that a paycheck expires. But a brand can keep printing money long after you've hung up the sneakers. And that brings us to the deal that quietly changed everything for him. Back in 2013, Curry was actually a Nike athlete. He grew up around Nike, his dad played in the league. The whole family had ties to the brand. Everyone assumed he'd sign a big Nike shoe deal and that would be that. But Nike, according to reporting that came out later, kind of fumbled the whole thing. In the pitch meeting, they mispronounced his name. They left a slide in the presentation with another player's name still on it. They didn't offer him a signature shoe.
Steph, why did you choose to wear the Mamba Adidas pregame?
I think it's... Well, one, I know it's just weird seeing me in anything else other than my own shoes, but just the idea of...
They basically treated him like a nice complimentary piece, not a franchise face. So Under Armour swooped in. At the time, Under Armour was barely a player in the basketball world. They were a fitness and football brand trying to break in, and they saw a guy Nike was undervaluing. They offered Curry a deal, and crucially, they offered him something Nike wouldn't: a real stake in the upside. Not just a flat sponsorship check, but equity, a piece of the company, a reason to care whether the brand actually grew. That decision is now worth an absolute fortune, because Curry didn't just wear the shoes. He blew up. 2 MVPs, The greatest shooting season anyone's ever seen, championship after championship, and a style of play that rewired how the entire sport gets played. Kids in driveways everywhere started launching 30-footers because of him. And every one of those kids wanted his shoes. Under Armour's Curry line exploded, and the equity he negotiated turned into money that dwarfs a lot of his basketball earnings. Then it got even bigger. In 2020, Under Armour and Curry launched the Curry brand, a full spin-off, his own label under the company's umbrella. The way Jordan has the Jordan brand under Nike, that's rarefied air. Only a tiny handful of athletes in history have ever had a namesake brand like that. And in 2023, they extended and deepened the whole thing into what's been reported as a lifetime deal, plus an equity position, plus a plan to keep building the brand for decades. Read that again. A lifetime deal. Meaning the money keeps flowing when he's 50, when he's 60, when he's a grandfather who hasn't touched an NBA court in 20 years. So while everyone's staring at that $62.6 million salary and calling it historic, and it is, the truth is that number might be the smaller half of his income. The shoe empire doesn't retire when he does. Now, let's talk about what that kind of money actually buys, because this is where it gets fun. Curry's life off the court looks nothing like the flashy, chain-dripping stereotype people imagine when they hear richest player in the league. He's famously more of a quiet luxury guy. There's the golf obsession. He's genuinely one of the best golfers in the celebrity world. Good enough to compete in real professional adjacent events, and golf at his level is not a cheap hobby. There are the cars, sure, but the real spending shows up in the things that appreciate. Real estate is a big one. He and his wife Aisha have owned a string of properties in the Bay Area, including estates that run into the tens of millions. We're talking gated compounds, wine country retreats, the kind of homes with their own names. And they treat it partly as lifestyle, and partly as investment property that grows in value while they live in it. Then there's the business empire that has nothing to do with a basketball. Curry launched a production company that's made documentaries and shows. He's got a media company. He's invested early in tech startups and consumer brands, the kind of Silicon Valley bets that can turn a few $100,000 into millions if even one of them hits. Living in the Bay Area, his whole career put him right next to the venture capital world, and unlike a lot of athletes who get pitched bad deals and lose money, Curry surrounded himself with sharp people and played it smart. And this is the thread that ties everything together. Curry treats himself like a company, not just a player. The salary is one revenue stream. The shoe brand is another. The real estate is another. The startups, the media, the endorsements with everyone from Subway to financial firms, all of it stacks. Which means the $62.6 million contract isn't the ceiling of his wealth. It's more like the anchor tenant in a much bigger building. So why did the Warriors pay it? Why hand that kind of money to a player heading into his late 30s? Because Curry isn't a normal 38-year-old. His game was never built on explosive athleticism, on jumping out of the gym or blowing past people with raw speed. It was built on shooting, on movement, on a brain that reads the floor a half-second faster than everyone else. And here's the thing: that stuff ages beautifully. A jump shot doesn't get old the way a first step does. He's still, right now, one of the most feared shooters alive, still bending entire defenses just by standing in a corner. And beyond the game, he is the Golden State Warriors. He turned a middling franchise into a global brand, into 4 championships, into a fan base spread across every continent. Letting him walk or lowballing him would have been a betrayal of the whole story they built together. The money isn't just for what he'll do on the court in 2026. It's a thank you for what he already did, and a bet that his mere presence keeps the whole operation valuable. Which loops us all the way back to that opening puzzle. How does a 38-year-old become the highest-paid player the league has ever seen? Because Curry stopped thinking like an athlete cashing checks and started thinking like a brand that never stops earning. The salary is historic, yes, but it's the smallest, most temporary piece of what he actually built. The shoe empire, the equity, the real estate, the businesses. That's the machine that keeps running when the jersey comes off for good. He got underestimated by Nike and turned that snub into a namesake brand. He got doubted as too small, too skinny, too fragile to last, and he's about to be paid more than anyone who's ever played the game. The lesson buried in all of it is simple. The people who win the money game long-term aren't always the ones with the biggest contracts. They're the ones who own a piece of something that outlives the contract entirely. So here's what I want to know from you. If you were suddenly handed Curry's situation, the salary, the lifetime shoe deal, the equity, would you keep grinding on the court into your late 30s? Or would you take the empire and walk away? Drop your answer in the comments, because I genuinely think this one splits people right down the middle.